Today on Sean Kelly on Movies Interviews, we're diving into the visceral world of This Is Not a Test. I'm joined by writer and director Adam MacDonald to discuss adapting Courtney Summers' haunting young adult novel into a 90s set zombie thriller. A quick note before we begin, our conversation touches on themes of depression and suicidal ideation. Stick around to hear how Adam balanced teen trauma with the undead, and if you enjoy the deep dive, be sure to like and subscribe for more. So I guess I'll start by asking, when did you come across the original novel by Courtney Summers and decide to adapt it into a film?
I came across it in like 2019.
Hmm.
Yeah, so about 6 years ago, I was writing another pilot. I was writing a pilot about kids and zombies, like teenagers
Hmm.
and zombies. So I was doing some research, or like after I wrote the script, to see if anything was similar out there. And I just had did a few Googles, and I saw this picture of "This Is Not a Test," and I was like, that is a great title. So I bought the book, I read the book, I fell in love with Sloane and the idea. I think I could make this into a movie, and so I dropped the pilot and I said, I'm gonna try to get this made into a feature. So it took 6 years, but here we are.
So was it always your goal to make a zombie film at some point?
Yes, Sean, yes. My first film ever is Somber Zombie. That's my first short film for
Mhm.
Bravo Fact in God, 2005, like 22 years ago or something. My God, I'm old, man. And then yeah, it was always in my mind to make a zombie film. Absolutely. Before my
Mhm.
career is over, before I leave this planet,
Mhm.
um, I wanted to make a zombie film. Yeah. So it is a dream come true for me personally.
Yeah, well, I would kind of like argue that this is not a text is just as much a teenage angst film than it is a zombie film. So, could you talk about striking that balance?
I think it's just using some of the inspiration from other films too, to like for tone, like that I would adhere to the whole time, and sculpting and helping the performances with the actors and the camera work and everything. Like there's a film called Super Dark Times
Mhm.
that was a big influence on it. In terms of the tone, that takes place in the 90s as well. And then marrying it with the chaos, right? So you go, well, that they're the same movie, you're in the same world, but when the chaos happens, you're in it. You're in like a storm, and it's okay to be in a storm. And then when it's calm, and that's it. So that we never ever. I was telling the actors sometimes too, when doing some of the scenes, going, we never forget what's going on outside. There's always an undercurrent of this chaos that's going on outside, and it's terrifying. You're just trying to keep it together. So heightened, everything needs to be a little heightened, even if it's slower, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I think the probably like the most important like thread in the film is like Olivia Holt's character is like a suicidal teen who has to like regain the will to live over the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah, that was important to me. That's why I went through a very difficult period in my teens, my late
Hmm.
teens, like Sloan, where I almost didn't get out of it. It's a whole other story. I'm thankful to be here,
Hmm.
so I could latch on to that and speak to it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make the film, to offer hope and explore those themes.
Yeah. So, could you talk a bit about setting the film in the 90s and including Age of Electric's I Don't Mind in a very prominent role?
I love that. Yeah, like I'm gonna be very honest with you. Like I read the book like 10 times. It's an exaggeration, maybe like six or seven by the time I realized, Sean, that it wasn't in the 90s. I thought I read it like I was projecting, I think, my what I went through in the 90s, right? What happened to me was 96. So I was like reading it, and I always thought, because it's just the phone. I just saw the Nokia phone. I saw the car. So I said, you know what? I'm going to stick to my instincts. I'm going to set it in the 90s. And I got the blessing from Courtney when I sent her the script. Um, and she saw, drafts coming out to, get her input. And the Age of Electric, I was looking for the right song, because I that scene's not in the book. I added that,
Mhm.
but because it was so cool, like The Office. And I said, I got to
Mhm.
have a song playing on the radio. That's how they get the radio. And I tried a bunch of songs, and it just landed on Age of Electric, I Don't Mind, which is from '98. And
Mhm.
I loved that song back in the day, and I've always wanted to use it in a film.
Mhm.
And they allowed us to use it, and they came to the one of the screenings, and they were there, and
Yeah.
it was cool, man. It was great.
I just like I was in like a 90s teenager and like Age of Electric was one of those like much music CanCon bands that always played in rotation.
Yeah, exactly. And did you come to the Toronto screening? Were
I
you
was at
there?
Toronto screening, yeah.
Oh yeah, so they were there. Todd was there, and his brother were there, and oh, I gave them a shout out. But yeah, they were sitting right in front of me, and yeah, they were telling me that it's like one of the first times their music was used in a film, so they were as excited as I was. But I think it's a perfect song. It ends the movie too, and I'm very grateful to them for allowing us to use the song.
So could you talk about like setting the film in a high school?
Yeah. Well, that's in the book, right?
Mhm.
And in the book, 90% of the book takes place in the high school. Like
Mhm.
90%.
Mhm.
So they would talk about things and they would talk about things in this in the book that I decided to show. Like they would hint at stuff, what happened, we almost didn't get out of the rec center. They would talk about these things in the book. So I decided to like use that to show at the beginning and how they got there. But I loved about the book because the book, like the film, like the book has that whiplash feeling. Because at the beginning, it's like the opening is very similar. Then all of a sudden they're in the school and she's covered in blood. That's in the book. And I
Mhm.
was like, wow, like what that is an amazing way to start a movie. So I was like, I wanted to honor that. But then like in the book, or like they're in this crazy environment, they're feeling the whiplash that we're feeling as the audience member.
Mhm.
That's why I did that. I wanted to feel what they're feeling. Hopefully that translates.
And also notable is like the absence of adult characters and the few that are in the film are like not really good people.
Well, the father, yeah, like there's, yeah,
The
the
father and the
teacher,
teacher.
yeah, the father and the teacher and the mother. I mean,
Yeah.
poor mom. Let's not give it away. Maybe what happens to her, but the adults are just as lost as the teenagers in this environment, right? They're reduced to their basics.
Mhm.
So I also want to show that too. Like the mom is struggling and the hierarchies are broken or whatever. It's just like no one knows what's going on and they're just trying to survive. And that's why I love that Carrie challenges her. And oh, anyway, so they're yeah, and some of them get what they deserve, right? In a way, like they could survive the apocalypse. They tried, but
Mhm.
it's the teenagers that found a way. So I always find that pretty poetic. It's like maybe the adults have all the answers. No, they don't. No, they don't. Maybe the teenagers are navigating it for themselves and they'll figure out a way to get out alive. So,
Yeah, and I don't want to get too spoilery, but I also the relationship with the sister was like, ugh.
yeah, Lily, and that was Joelle Farrow who played Lily, and I thought she
Mhm.
was brilliant in that role. And she's such pivotal, her and the dad, really, they're
Mhm.
such anchors and a pivotal support for the arc of
Mhm.
Sloane. Without them, it doesn't work. And I thought, I have to have someone who could, Joelle has such a presence, she could
Mhm.
be a lead in a movie as much as she can be a supporting role because she's memorable and she's strong. So I wanted that. I wanted to like, in the car when she drops her off at school and there's that look in her eye, that sadness, that deep sadness, for what's to come. It was almost like a foreshadowing. And I thought they were great. I thought they worked well together. And their scenes, yeah, their scenes were very, 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 especially the end. We don't want to give it away, but it's heartbreaking. I was at a screening in LA. We did the premiere in LA on Thursday.
Mhm.
And I was there, and like most people in the audience didn't read the book, right? So I was at the end, what happens. And the gasps, I'm like, okay, great. That's what it is. That's what it takes for her to move on.
Yeah. So um you've been actually very like prolific over the last few years. So what's next for you?
Ooh, hopefully more work, Sean. I'm doing an AMC show. I start next week. I've been in prep on that, which has been great. But I don't know. I mean, I'd like to expand, hopefully, I'd love to do a studio film. I'd love to have more resources. I'd like to make a bigger story if I could. And if not, yeah, I have a few scripts, going around, and we'll find the right people, producers. They're in its infancy, but I think by the fall I'll have hopefully an announcement on the next film. And listen, Sean, if this movie does really, 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 really well, it might be, the sequel to this. Who knows?
Yeah.
You never know. At least it's there.
Yeah, I noticed that there was like a follow-up novel to this.
There is, yeah,
Yeah.
Sean, there is. There's Please Remain Calm.
Yeah.
there is, and I read it. I have the outline ready to go,
Mhm,
but I didn't want to write the script on spec. I wrote the outline,
mhm,
but I didn't want to. Because the movie has to perform, and if it
mhm.
performs, maybe there's options after, and see what Sybil and I want to do or IFC. But as of now, we'll see. We'll see how the film does. You know.
Okay, well, thanks.
Well, Sean, I'm going to say thank you because, no, seriously, I thank you, Sean, very much because usually you are the first review that comes out. You were one of the first for Pyewacket, Out Come the Wolves, and This Is Not a Test. And I do see them, and they wanted to appreciate your reviews, and I do take the time to read them. And I know
Okay,
who I always look for the Sean Kelly review,
yeah.
and I really appreciate it. I like when you like my films. It means a lot
Yeah,
to
and
me. We got to get.
I also reviewed some of the episodes of Hell Motel last year.
Yeah, yeah, no, I've seen them all. So I just like I appreciate you.
Yeah.
We got to get you on. You got to get on Rotten Tomatoes, man.
I've
You
been
got to get.
trying. I've been trying.
I don't know. Yeah, you're the real deal. So I don't understand. I'd love to see.
Unless you're for like a big outlet, it's very hard.
Really, eh? We've
Yeah.
been doing this a long time, and I do think, yeah, your reviews are always thoughtful, and
Yeah.
I appreciate you and your reviews, Sean. Just know
Okay.
that.
All right.
Thank you.